Our very first achievement for Cuphead is a simple one. All we need to do is play any plane level and kill the boss using only our primary bullets and not our secondary bombs or supers. Carla Maria is probably my favourite boss in all the base game, and definitely my favourite plane boss, so I chose her. Playing through an old boss I beat 2 years ago was quite a pleasure. Seeing the contrast in the skill levels you've built up over the years is really affirming. But not to worry, my blissful ignorance was quickly cut short when I discovered I had read the achievement wrong, and in fact you have to beat the boss with only your plane's mini form primary bullets. What a great way to set the tone for this entire video. Even though it was difficult, I stuck out Carla Maria. She's just such an inspiring boss. I really think it would have been a disservice to her if I moved on to an easier boss just in order to get this video out earlier. And so, with the utmost care, I was able to kill Farlap on the brink of death on my first try. Thanks to my dyslexia and my bruised and moulding ego, this achievement will slot nicely into the B tier. Upon finishing the game, we're able to unlock an extra difficulty when we visit any of the game's bosses. Expert mode adds a new challenge and replayability in the form of additional mechanics and phases, faster gameplay loop, and more opportunities for molding. If we were able to overcome the entire original game's bosses, the DLC is not included, we unlock this achievement. I achieved this achievement after the DLC was released and I hatched the idea for this video. I was decently rehearsed and fluent at the game since I just finished off the DLC, and even though expert mode was challenging, it was comparatively an intransitive experience. It was deliciously delightful to return to the original bosses that gave me so much trouble when the game originally launched. Almost like a trip down memory lane, my reminiscing brought the deepest nostalgia. I'm definitely someone that enjoys being challenged when it comes to video games. My lack of an IRL hairline really gets a kick out of proving that I can indeed Cupheads. This achievement has earned its spot amongst the A rankings. To attain this achievement, we must play as a new character from the DLC, Miss Chalice, and kill a boss with one of her super arts. If you're thinking to yourself, that sounds pretty easy, that's because you would be correct. However, the rarity of this achievement is a deception that goes deeper than the Australian voting system. I'm convinced that this achievement is only rare because most players fall into the loop of using their super art as either a defensive or for what they perceive as maximum DPS. There's very little well-founded reasoning to save your super to finish off the boss. On top of that, you can't see health bars in this game, so any players that do save their super will most likely mistime the attack. While keeping all of this in mind, I need to show you something. This is the first time I killed a boss with Miss Chalice's super. Did you notice something? That's right, I didn't get any achievement. So I killed a second boss, still nothing. Only once reviewing my footage did I find that this achievement popped during a game mode where I couldn't even use super arts. I felt robbed. Coming from such a whimsical, nostalgic achievement to this achievement has left a taste of ash in my mouth. That's a big fat F. While we're on the subject of Miss Chalice, now we need to use this gorgeous wine glass to kill 10 bosses in total. The bosses are the same as usual, so we won't touch on them. Instead, let's have a chat about Miss Chalice herself. Miss Chalice is a new playable character in the DLC, and she has slightly different kit or loadout to Cuphead and Mugman. Miss Chalice is able to double jump, roll, with invincibility frames, which is nice, and her parry isn't activated mid-jump, but instead when she dashes. I used Miss Chalice on my casual playthrough of the DLC, and then took her back to some easier bosses to smash out the remainder of the 10. Overall, I find I enjoy using Miss Chalice more than Cuphead or Mugman. However, just racking 10 boss kills for the sake of it kinda left me with a feeling of contempt. When compared to playing the game again on a refreshingly hard difficulty, this achievement is easily forgotten. A forgettable D rating for a forgettable achievement. Let's bounce back to the drastic opposite of our last achievement. Paladin is a heavily inspiring, challenging, and well thought out achievement. This one is only obtainable after a previous achievement is completed, which, while directly linked, I will not speak about or allow the tied achievement to affect this one's impact or rating. After completing the aforementioned linked achievement, the player will now have access to the Cursed Talisman. If the Cursed Talisman is equipped, there will be some added effects to any stages the player enters. The first being your gun now changes to a random different gun every time you press down the shoot button. The second is you will start all encounters at 1 health, and thirdly your mold line goes from Hasana B all the way down to Moon Moon. If the player is able to kill bosses, their relic will slowly increase in power and gain additional and stronger effects from the other charms in the game. If the player is able to kill roughly 8 bosses with the relic equipped, the final evolution of this charm will activate. The Divine Relic keeps the random gun mechanics, but instead removes a painstaking 1 health start. Additionally, the other passive effects added to this charm will be functioning at their strongest capacities. If you have the skill or patience, or you just enjoy masochism, I highly recommend trying the achievement for yourself. It's quite a great journey of truth, mercy, and regret. Like a god amongst men, this achievement sits atop the rest. Walking around on the DLC island, have you ever seen this cheeky little ladder that flies down from the sky? Well, if yes, then you would know that atop this ladder is a king who has a series of challenges for you. Challenges that disable your ability to shoot and limit the player to only damaging the king's champions with a parry. Well, if you can defeat all of the champions, you unlock this achievement. Checkmate. Pretty neat, huh? Except that's not the achievement I showed, was it? Well, after defeating all the champions for the first time, the king offers up a gauntlet-style challenge. In this challenge, you must put aside your game at ADHD for about 5 minutes and beat every champion one after the other without failing on any of them. If you fail, you start all over again. There's a reason only 1% of players have obtained this achievement, and I think it's because 99% of us really are ADHD. Or maybe it's just because this gauntlet really is that difficult. To add insult to masochism, once you unlock the achievement and finish the gauntlet, the king has no reward for you. He simply says, "You have my admiration." Never have I ever been left with such a satisfied feeling of emptiness. This achievement deserves a rank fit for a king. Have 9 HP at one time. The rarity of this one seems pretty based on that no one can be bothered to go out of the way to do it. Or at least that's how I felt when I attempted it. In order to complete this one, there are a few health stacking mechanics we need to implement. First, we need to equip the Twin Heart Charm, then we need to spin around in the overworld, and a genie will appear and grant us some more HP as well. Then, enter the King Dice battle. Upon loading in, you will have 9 HP, except the game won't give you the achievement just yet. For some reason, we still have to play King Dice's game, and obtain 2 of his heart upgrades as well. But doesn't that leave you with 11 health? Well, no, not really, because no matter how much damage you've taken and what health you are on when you receive your second heart, the achievement will pop. And that's really all there is to this achievement. A bit of setup, lots of confusion, then a meaningless reward, just like real life. Realistic enough for a B tier, glitched enough to be in the next Assassin's Creed game. D rank. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a molding session because a boss's minions just keep killing you, and you just stop to think to yourself, hey, maybe I should beat the boss without clearing any of the whelps? The answer is no. No one has ever thought that. Well, that's exactly what we must do for this one. And it also must be a boss from the DLC. Now there are plenty of fantastic bosses you could struggle on, but in my opinion, Esper Winchester is the easiest. The level can be played on simple mode, so that's one less thing to worry about, and Esper only has 1 minion that can be killed, and it's really easy to avoid. The little horsey only appears in the first phase, and enters stage right either high or low, depending on doing the opposite to where Esper is currently located. After this phase, you just second amendment this fool and boom, easy achievement. Despite all my complaining, I think it belongs in the B tier. Depending on your total victory royales, this achievement is either easy or hard. The player must clear every DLC boss with at least an A rank. Fortunately, this does include A- rank as well. I have a few victory royales myself, and I only needed to return to 2 bosses after my first playthrough. Rehearsing bosses is nothing new in the gaming community, and mastering a boss really deepens that dopamine feeling that you get from the first time you kill a boss. Just like killing a low-level slime, once you've beaten the main story, rehearsing a boss to near mastery comes with a sense of superiority over what once put your nose in the dirt and stole your lunch money repeatedly in middle school. A-ranking bosses were short and sweet, and that leads me to think it's only fitting to go into the A tier itself. Fittingly, the rarest achievement of Cuphead is the upscaled version of second place. Forget A and A-. Now we have to bump up the difficulty to expert and achieve 1 S rank. For those that don't know, S rank requires some pretty tight criteria to be met. 6 super attacks have to land on an enemy, the player must have 3 health at the end of the fight must be completed in under 2 minutes, 3 successful parries, and 2 stars of skill. Apparently stars of skill is determined by the difficulty, but I also read that it wasn't working like this for some people, so who can really say? I chose Moonshine Mob as it's probably my favourite fight in the DLC, and it was the most familiar to me at the time. 3mm disappeared from my hairline before I completed this with a perfect score. You can see I was so proud that I took a screenshot that I would show no one and never look at again. Wouldn't it be so flush if I put the A rank one in A rank, and now I put the S rank one in S rank? A rank.